There are lots of good moves you can make in making a move here to St. Johns County. And there's some mistakes that you can make as well. And we've had a lot of families move to this area. We've helped a lot of families. And there are several mistakes that we've seen happen several times. And these things can end up costing a family lots of money, lots of time, lots of headache. And oftentimes it means they bought a house and then maybe 1, 2, 3 years later, staying here in St. Johns County, they decide to move again. And if you're like me or like my wife, we don't like moving. Moving is no bueno. It's no fun. We don't like actually making the move. So if you can make the best choice right now, first of all, when you move to St. Johns County, that is the best. And so I'm going to give you the top 5 mistakes that people make when they move here to St. Johns County. And this is, of course, so that you don't make them yourself. Let's learn from other people's mistakes. We can learn lots of different ways. We can be told what to do. We can be shown what to do or what not to do. You know, little Johnny touches the stove and little Sally sees that happen. They can learn from Johnny's experience. And that's what we want for you. We want you to learn from other people's experience so you don't have to be like little Johnny and touch the stove yourself in order to not learn about, touching hot things. So where am I going with that? Top 5 mistakes. And then actually the sixth one, I added a number 6 as well, because we've got something going on here in Florida right now that makes this mistake brand new, like 2023. This year has really become something that you need to watch out for. So without further ado, let's hop in with mistake number 1. And mistake number 1 is probably true anywhere you're going to move, but especially here in St. Johns County. And that is not being absolutely crystal clear on your needs and wants and choosing the right area, the right location. We hear St. Johns County schools. Are St. Johns County schools equal throughout the whole county? St. Johns County neighborhoods have incredible amenities. Is that true in all communities or all equal? St. Johns County has a lot of outdoor activities in their neighborhoods. Well, some do, some don't. So having absolute crystal clarity on your wants and your needs and then identifying the location is essential. I'm fond of saying that the neighborhoods, especially along County Road 210, but really in St. Johns County, northern St. Johns County, it's like the Epcot of neighborhoods. And what I mean by that is there are so many different neighborhoods and they have their own vibe, and your vibe attracts your tribe, right? They have their own vibe and feel to them. And so maybe it's a real outdoorsy feel. Maybe it's more of a nautical feel. What do the trees look like as you're coming into the neighborhood? What are the amenities like? There's so many different things. And so even for a lot of families, I've noticed just the feel of the neighborhood is super, super, super important. And that's really difficult to find from chat groups online or from just, photographs. Video tours can absolutely help. And I love helping families with videoing homes, videoing neighborhoods and helping them in that way. But there's still something about having boots on the ground and really coming to visit. And so you're not wasting a lot of time having a plan in place for your visit and really identifying and visiting those top neighborhoods so you can get a feel for the neighborhoods. If you are planning to live here and work here and you're still one of those people that go to the office, you might have a commute. And knowing where to live in relation to that commute is super important. And just pulling it up on a Google map and saying, oh, Google says it's 5 miles away. That can be a big difference. This area, we have a lot of bridges. And so if you live on the wrong side of a bridge and you're going with the traffic in the morning, that could cause 15, 20, 25 minute delays and add time to your commute, time away from your family, time away from doing the things that you want to do, just driving back and forth to work. Hopefully you've got some good podcasts, some good audiobooks, something to listen to on that commute. Or if you could find the right area right away and you know what your commute's going to be like, that is absolutely essential in my opinion. Nobody likes to spend extra time that they don't have to just hanging out in the car. It's helpful to know what's nearby. And even again, just looking at Google Map doesn't tell you the whole story right now. I'm sitting here in Beacon Lake and across the street is Beach Walk. And if I search for businesses around here, there's not a lot of restaurants that are walkable or that I could just ride my bike to or go across the street and get to. There's a few, but not very many yet. But that doesn't tell the whole story because we have a lot of empty buildings sitting there right now that have just been constructed and we're waiting for those to get filled up. And soon we're going to have poke bowls and is it poke? Poke? I don't know. We're going to have bowls with fish on top of rice. Okay. We're going to have ice cream. We're going to have fish. We're going to have burgers. We're going to have tacos. We're going to have a lot of different things right here across the street. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, the point is knowing what is around an area and what is coming is super important as well. And of course, as we talked about schools, St. John's County schools have different areas, different schools. And so just because you're located in one neighborhood doesn't mean that you're going to be zoned for the school that you might want to go to. So important to know which areas are zoned for which schools. In the St. John's County high schools, we have things called academies. Those are specialized focus. Now you still get the full typical St. John's County school, high school education, but in addition, your student can have an extra focus. So it could be veterinary studies, it could be international marketing, it could be Navy, Army, Air Force, ROTC. There's so many different opportunities here in St. John's County. And even though you can go to any high school that you get into an academy for, still there's something nice to going to the high school that you're zoned for, because in the neighborhood friends will be going to that high school. Transportation is then provided for that high school. You don't have to worry about that. So if there's particular schools that you want to get into, you absolutely have to be sure that you get into the right neighborhood. And again, working with an expert like us can really help with that because we've got new schools opening all the time. Just here in Beacon Lake, for instance, we have a brand new school opening next year. So if you look at Beacon Lake today and look at the schools it's zoned for, it's going to tell you Landrum and Ocean Palms, which are about 20 minutes away from the neighborhood. It's pretty far to put your kindergartner on a bus and send them off for a 25-minute bus ride. That said, next year, next school year, next August, we have a brand new K through 8 school opening up here in the neighborhood. So if you're just looking at a listing in Beacon Lake and you see the schools, you might think, oh man, that's really far. I don't want to send my kids that far. Well, good news is a brand new school opening up next year. Nocatee has a new school opening up. And so, if your kids aren't quite school age and you're looking ahead into the distance, it's helpful to know what is coming up as far as schools go. So don't make the mistake of moving to the wrong area. I'll just share a really quick story with you. My wife and I, when we moved here from overseas. We were living in Botswana, Africa, and we moved to Nocatee. And that wasn't a mistake. We loved Nocatee. The mistake we made was we decided that we didn't want to spend at the time the extra $8,000 to be on a preserve lot rather than a back-to-back lot. Hey, look you're getting like a 7th bonus tip right here. Look at the lot type. It's super important. So we just decided, no, we'll do an interior lot and we'll have another house behind us. And it was absolutely fine. It was great. We had a fence. Everything was cool. Then we decided, well, we kind of want to put a pool in. So now I have these 2-story houses behind me staring down at my backyard. And I'm like, I don't know how comfortable I am walking around in my Speedo with all these 2-story houses looking at me. Now they'd probably only look for, a day or two and then they'd install some permanent blinds or something if I did that. But point being, yeah, you want to pick the right lot and the right area. And my point there is we love that house. We would have stayed in that house still today, 11 years later. But because of the lot, we ended up moving over here. And I'm so glad we did. I love Beacon Lake. I love that we moved here, but we didn't love making a second move. And if we could have stayed in that spot, we probably would have just stayed put. So choosing your location is super important, especially if you're like us and you don't want to keep hiring moving trucks and making moves. All right. I feel like we've already done at least 2 mistakes, but as far as my list goes, we're actually only on number 2 right now. And so mistake number 2 people make moving to St. John's County is that they focus on the wrong things. And what do I mean by focus on the wrong things? Well, a lot of times we have families here and we're looking and they want something Move-in ready, which is great. We have a lot of that here. We have a lot of homes that have been built in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, in the last year. We have new construction going on all over the place here right now. So if you want brand new, we can get you brand new. But occasionally, families will look past a house, which might be perfect because it's on the lot that they want, it's the size and the bedrooms that they want, and maybe they don't like the carpet, or maybe they don't like the paint color, or maybe even the kitchen cabinet countertops or kitchen cabinets aren't quite what they're looking for. And oftentimes, it's a really easy, simple fix. And sometimes people just can't get past that. They can't look past the things that are really easy to change. And so, if you can adjust your mindset to being willing to find something that's 80% of what you're looking for, and then if that 20% are things that are fairly easily changed, then that's a winner winner. Even if you can't change it right now this year and you need to wait a year, man, there's something cool about, hey, honey, instead of Christmas this year, instead of getting each other gifts, let's put that outdoor kitchen in that we wanted. Let's go ahead and paint the house the color that we wanted. Let's add carpets. And so there's lots of ways to gradually bring things into what you want. Of course, I help people buy a lot of new construction, so I completely understand the whole have it your way mentality. I'm a part of that. I've bought new construction for both homes that I've lived in here in St. Johns County. So I'm a big fan of buying new and getting what you want right away. But that said, sometimes when inventory is a little bit lower, it's good to be able to step out of that mindset and say, you know what? Uh, we can go ahead and change the carpet. We can paint. We can even paint the cabinets. We can even change a countertop if we need to. That stuff isn't a huge deal. And if you need professionals that can help you with that, I know I've got a guy. I've got lots of guys that do a lot of different things. So I can help you find the right person here in St. Johns County to help you get that done. Mistake number 3 is not speaking to a lender or even not speaking to a lender early enough. And sometimes, or maybe too early. Well, anyways, you want to speak to a lender within a month or two of your coming to look or your home purchase, your move, whatever, because things can change. Your credit score can go up and down. Within the mortgage industry, things are changing all the time. Besides just interest rates, the amount you need to put down and how different loans work together. I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole because I am not a mortgage expert. That said, I work with some mortgage experts who will take the time on the phone with you to come up with ideas and talk about what will work best for yours and your family's goals. But talking to a lender is super important because there's a couple different mistakes you can make, right? On one side, we can underestimate how much you can afford. And based on monthly payment or based on purchase price, we might put the bar too low and start looking at things, and you're giving up a lot of things that you want when you could easily afford to get more house than you thought. So talking to a lender and getting some of their ideas and even sometimes creative solutions that we never thought about, and they can teach us about that. They can help you identify programs, and they can sometimes get you into a house for the same monthly payment that you would have, but at a higher priced house. Now, the other side of it is this happens quite often is we overestimate what we can afford. And the big problem there is we waste a lot of time and we have a lot of disappointment. And the reason I say we waste a lot of time is because, gosh, if you come here from out of state and you've got a weekend to look at homes, and we're looking at stuff that's 1.2 million and you only qualify for $900,000. In this market, we're not seeing people drop from 1.2 to $900,000. We're seeing people get 98, 99% of list price. So we're not seeing these big drops unless, of course, someone has really overpriced their home. And disappointment comes when you come and look at homes and you're looking at a particular neighborhood, and you're finding stuff you love, and then you find out that you don't qualify for that much. And now you need to look at different options that maybe aren't checking as many boxes as you would have hoped. And that disappointment can really, really, really drag down the home buying process. Just the energy and the excitement and everything can get sucked out of it because you've been looking at things up here and really you can afford things around here. And if you'd come in and we just looked at these things, we didn't look at all the big mansion estates, we looked at the smaller mansion estates or whatever it happens to be, you would have just loved this house so much more if you weren't comparing it to this one. And remember, there's people looking at these ones that are comparing to these ones and these ones and these ones and so on and so forth. So just for your own mental health, for your own enjoyment of the process, it's absolutely critical to know how much you can actually afford, what your monthly payment is, what that looks like as a home price, back and forth, get on the phone with a lender, have that conversation, and find out exactly where we stand. Mistake number 4, and as I'm sitting here thinking, I think it can kind of go a couple different directions. But where my thought process was in coming up with this video was mistake number 4 was not considering resale value. And where I see that play out is people will look at a neighborhood, for instance, like Nocatee, and the homes cost more in Nocatee, and I can get a better deal somewhere else. Well, the truth stands that later on, buyers are going to be having those same conversations. And the expectation is that when it comes time to resell your house, buyers are still going to be more willing to pay a higher premium for a house in Nocatee than other neighborhoods. So you do stand to make more money and have a quicker sale process selling in Nocatee than maybe some other neighborhoods. Now, 100% that mistake can go the other way as well, where people get so wrapped up in thinking about the resale value, resale value, resale value, they're not really paying a lot of attention to what's important to them then and now. And so that mistake can go either way. We could either overemphasize resale value and maybe buy a house that isn't right for your family, or you can forget all about resale value and start nitpicking and worried about all these little things, or maybe putting aside some benefits, not thinking ahead to resale time, that maybe those power lines don't bother you in the backyard, but a future buyer, that's going to really slow down your house. And it may be difficult. I'll tell you right now, we actually own a house up in North Carolina mountains, and I won't bore you with a long story here, but it's got some funky stairs in it. We kind of bought it sight unseen. We went, checked it out, and the funky stairs didn't bother us that much. And we've got it listed right now. And that is the hardest thing right now for selling that house, is the narrow staircase, and the funky stairs in that house has really become a thorn in our side. So recognizing that something doesn't bother you, if you're not planning to be there for the next 25 years, this really isn't the last house and you are going to sell it someday, you definitely want to pay attention to things that might be a deal breaker for other people in the future. Number 5 mistake that people make when they're buying here in Northeast Florida in St. Johns County is that they will skip the home inspection. And I don't care if it's a resale, I don't care if it's new construction. Always, 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 I beg you, please get a home inspection. This we're going to walk through the house and see a lot of things, but home inspectors have the tools and the experience to find things that we can't see. They're looking with their little heat things to see if there's moisture meters. They can get up on the roof, really dig deep to find things that might affect the value of your house. We're not necessarily looking for a bunch of little things to nitpick, but we don't want you to make the mistake of buying a house and then later on finding mold, or buying a house and later find out that there's a foundation issue or anything like that. So 100% it's probably the best 400 to 600 bucks you can spend is getting a home inspection and knowing exactly what it is you're purchasing and having that peace of mind. A lot of the things they find, we can go and talk to, if it's the builder, 100%, we're going to talk to the builder and get things fixed. If it's a resale, we can negotiate for those things and get those things either repaired or get a credit for them. It's a discussion that we can have, but we got to have both eyes open and know exactly what's going on with the house. Even if you're taking it as is, I always, always, always please recommend that you get a home inspection. I know some great home inspectors. I'll connect you with them and make it as painless as possible. And now time for your bonus mistake that you don't want to make. And this one really is kind of a new I guess it's always been floating around a little bit, but it's really cranked up severity this year, 2023. And that is before you buy a house here in St. Johns County, Florida. I think all of Florida, but right now I'm focused in St. John's, Northeast Florida, is you need to make sure that you've spoken with an insurance person and you know what insurance looks like for your home. New construction isn't a too big of a deal. That's pretty simple. But any home right now where the roof is over 10 years. So we're putting on these roofs, we're calling them 25, 30-year roofs. Well, the insurance companies right now, for a lot of different reasons, a lot of things have gone on. Honestly, insurance is a bit of a mess here in Florida right now. And uh, hopefully there's some things getting fixed soon. But where we're at right now is that insurance companies are looking at roofs. And if they are 10 years or older, it's causing some hiccups. This year, I've had buyers get new roofs put on houses that they were buying, and I've had a listing where the roof was only 13 years old, and we worked it all out. We negotiated everything through the closing, but they actually had to put a new roof on so the buyers could get insurance on that home. So definitely want to be aware that insurance is an issue here. So if you're buying a house in St. Johns County and it is 10 years or older, or even if it's 9 years, just know that the next couple of years after that, you may have a bump up in your insurance. So talk to your insurance professional. Again, I've said it before. If you need someone who's good, I'm happy to connect you with a great insurance person. Oh man, this is important stuff. I wish I had someone sharing these things with me when I was buying in here 11 or so years ago. Anyways, look forward to seeing you on the next one. Stay classy, St. Johns County.